I want to share this story with you out of California that was published on August the 12th, 2021. It says the indictment details disturbing abuse allegations at defunct Murrieta foster home. This is out of California. Their foster homes in Orange and Riverside counties have been hailed as the godsend by some and denounced as a nightmare by others. Now, one foster parent stands accused of murder, and she and her husband both face charges of sexual abuse of disabled persons who depended on them for care and protection. Michelle Morris Kern, 80, was scheduled to enter a plea on Thursday, August the 12th, but her arraignment was continued until August 30th to give attorneys time to pore over sealed documents from the Riverside County criminal grand jury proceeding that resulted in the 14-count indictment. So what that means was that this was a sealed indictment, which means that the grand jury sealed the documents. They were not for public disclosure, so her attorney had not had the opportunity to review those, so he needed to do that before she entered her plea. While Morris, as she is known, is accused of second-degree murder for failing to get help for Princess Diane Ramirez, a desperately ill foster child, and is named in all 14 counts, her husband, Edward Lawrence Larry Kern, 79, is accused only of neglect in relation to the child's death and is named in 5 counts. Brian Cosgrove, head of complex litigation with the Riverside County Public Defender's Office, expects that not guilty pleas will be entered on August the 30th. Both are accused willfully, unlawfully, and lewdly committing lascivious acts upon adult dependents with the intent of rousing, appealing to, and gratifying the lusts, passions, and sexual desires of said defendant and the said dependent person, according to the indictment. Those counts appear to reference the marriage of an adopted brother and sister under the care of the couple, now shuttered, meaning closed up, Michelle Norris Family Home for Disabled Children in Murrieta. The appropriateness of that marriage has been at issue as Morris battled to keep her guardianship of the adult dependent children after she surrendered her foster care license in the wake of Ramirez's death. All right, now, it says in a petition to probate court last August, Morris denies any illegal, inappropriate, or wrongful treatment of the married brother and sister. She also denied these clients were profoundly developmentally delayed. All right, so I'm going to skip some of this, but here is something that's very important. Let me see if I can find it in here further down. So this here, Ryan Morris and his identical twin brother were swept into state custody shortly after birth. The healthy twin went back to his biological family, but Ryan Morris had a long history of maladies, and Morris, the foster mother, told the court that his biological family couldn't care for him appropriately. She was allowed to adopt him over the biological family's vehement objections. Now, Morris, I'm not sure if it discloses it in this story, but she was a CPS or a social worker for the state agency at one point before she became a more lucrative foster parent. Morris was one of Ryan Morris's guardians when, at age 20, despite having the intellect of a kindergartner, he married a man nearly twice his age in a formal ceremony in the Morris's backyard. Ryan Morris mistook the ceremony for a baptism. A court-ordered review said he does not have the capacity to consent to marriage and an intimate relationship, and he told a psychologist that Morris promised him a cell phone if he would get married. All right, here's a little look at this house. It's a $1.6 million, 7,000 square foot home where she ran a state licensed facility for disabled foster children. All right, now here is something that is critical. Goes on here to tell a little bit more about the Ryan Morris's biological family who had been fighting for him for years. They claim he was sexually abused under her watch. These children who are developmentally, mentally, psychologically disabled and are as severe as some of the children that she had can bring a foster parent up to $3,000 per month, tax-free, along with free medical care. In these stories, it talks about her having 13 foster children in her home, and I think some of them had aged out as adults and she was still providing care for them. So she had 13 in her home. So you can do the math. 13 times 3,000 is a little over about $40,000 a month that she was receiving tax-free. All right, so that is the end of that story, but there's going to be more coming out about this, I am sure. I have complained about these little mini uncertified, unlicensed, private personal group homes for a long time. And this tells the story right here. I know a home in Tennessee that it has 13 people in it. It's in the country, and at least 6 of those are foster children. So that foster family is receiving somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 a month tax-free to pay for their own personal expenses and, of course, feed the children. But I don't think it takes $10,000 a month. All right, this is disturbing. I want you to watch and follow the story, and do not forget that this is the state of our foster care system, a total systemic failure. Foster